book lovers, welcome to Uncommon Reader. My name is Daniela. I'm back in Italy. I just wanted to be filming today closer to my books, and you might notice from my voice that I wasn't really well. I have been struck by the flu a couple of days after returning to Italy, but I'm doing much better today, so I wanted to share with you my February favorites before you get too deep into March. So if you have followed my channel for a while, which I thank you for, you may already know that I've spent February in California, which I consider my second home since I lived there for 15 years. And it's always great to return, to spend time with my loved ones there. And I also received a lot of bookish gifts, which I told you about in my latest video. And I also had time when I am there to go visit the places that are most dear to me. So I may include in this video a little collage or a little sample of the places that I used to enjoy for entertaining or also for work. Because when I was working as a photographer in the San Francisco Bay Area, I had some specific spots that I loved so much. So it's always great to go back and relive those days or just simply enjoy the panoramic view. So here it is, some images from the Bay Area for you. Well, I'm glad I filmed these images, which I usually show more in details in my Italian BookTube channel, but I really wanted to include some on my February favorites video as well, because they've been such a great part of my month, including the time that I spent with my loved ones. Speaking about more frivolous things now, I have to tell you, in February, I got hooked to the New York Games app, including the famous game Connections, which it seems like everyone in California is playing. I got hooked by my boyfriend, but then discovered there's so many of his friends and colleagues are doing it. So I downloaded the app, and thank God I got the free version. That only allows you a maximum of, I think, 5 games a day. And they're pretty clever games because you have to really stretch your mind with the spelling bee and just games to create words. The connections is the most complicated of games because it like you have 16 different words and you have to make 4 pairs of 4. So let's talk about books. My favorite reads of February has to be Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I'm so glad I read this book during Black History Month, and also I got intrigued with other reads that I'll be doing later on this year. And I didn't know this author before encountering her on Read Dangerously, a book by Azar Nafisi. I have the Italian version here. Let me just show it to you. This is a beautiful nonfiction book talking about banned books, banned literature. And I dedicated to this book a whole video, so I don't want to spend too many words on it. But if you're interested in banned books and the beautiful human touch that Azar Nafisi gives to all her books with a little bit of her story as well, I will link it in the info box, and you can maybe go and spend some time watching it after this one, okay? Stick around. So Azar Nafisi speaks about Zora Neale Hurston, and especially this book on Read Dangerously. So I got already like this book on my radar, but it was the final push for me to read this book was watching Pat's video of Book Chat with Pat. And she dedicated a whole video to this book, which I'm going to link on my info box as well for you to go see, because I don't want to spend too much talking about the plot, the story, but Pat gives a lot of details as well in terms of the times when this book was written, and also discovered there was such a thing as African American Renaissance, Black Renaissance. And it was spreading around those first decades of the 20th century. Zora Neale Hurston was a novelist, folklorist, and anthropologist whose fictional and factual accounts of Black heritage are unparalleled. I was so taken by this book from page 1. The lyrics are exquisitely poetic, at the same time strong, bold, powerful. It's the story of women empowerment, emancipation during a decade that was just getting rid of slavery. So our protagonist, Janie, was the first from her family who wasn't a slave. And in a way, though, her early life was kind of maneuvered by her grandmother, who wanted her to be married in a secure marriage. Although she made her get married with an older man, she didn't want to. But later on, she was able to set herself free and live her own experiences and choose her companions in life. But the sense that we get from Janie is that she knows exactly what she wants, and she's not submissive to her first husband. She's envisioning another life. So she has that instinct within her and a thirst for freedom, even if she's born free. But not necessarily, right? Because she was forced by her grandmother to get married, but she will find a way for her to be making her own decisions, which, you know, propel her into different scenarios and in a beautiful life lived with a lot of intention and passion. So I also enjoyed the language in this book, which was quite challenging for me because the dialogues are written in African American vernacular English, which is completely, most of it different from the English we speak nowadays. But since I'm such a fan of languages and accents, I used to challenge myself by reading aloud. I think I shouldn't even dare trying. I don't know. I just got so fascinated with trying to figure out how the words were cut and what they signified. And, just a beautiful lyrics, so deep and emotional at the same time, witty, and I think also the sentences, all these dialogues and this vernacular English, it's not just a language, it's an attitude. I really felt like a sense of belonging, a sense of owning, your roots and your values in this incredible, unique language. I wanted to read a passage of the introduction of this used version that I bought in Berkeley this time around. I don't know what year this was published, but I believe this is a copy from 1990. I think it was quite interesting that when this book was published, Black male critics were much harsher in their assessment of the novel, which was instead very much welcomed by the female readers. From the beginning of her career, Hurston was severely criticized for not writing fiction in the protest tradition. Sterling Brown said in 1936 of her earlier book, Mules and Men, that it was not bitter enough, that it did not depict the harsher side of Black life in the South, that Hurston made Black Southern life appear easygoing and carefree. Alain Locke, Dean of Black Scholars and Critics during the Harlem Renaissance, wrote in his yearly review of the literature for Opportunity magazine that Hurston, their eyes, was simply out of step with the more serious trends of the times. When, he asks, will Hurston stop creating these pseudo-primitives whom the reading public still loves to laugh with, weep over, and envy, and come to grips with the motive fiction and social document fiction? The most damaging critique of all came from the most well-known and influential Black writer of the day, Richard Wright. Writing for the leftist magazine New Masses, Wright excoriated Their Eyes as a novel that did for literature what the minstrel shows did for theater, that is, make white folks laugh. No, I didn't laugh. I thought it was humorous at times, but I found her character amazingly strong. The novel, I'll finish with this, he said, carries no theme, no message, no thought, but exploited those quaint aspects of African American life that satisfied the tastes of a white audience. By the end of the 40s, a decade dominated by Wright and by the stormy fiction of social realism, the quieter voice of a woman searching for self-realization could not or would not be heard. Well, I don't know. I mean, I am a white woman, so I probably, respond well to this book, but it would be great if someone that is African American would tell me their side of the story and how they react reading this book. Okay, enough. One of my other favorite reads in February was Orbital. I have it right here. I will, as I said in my last video, dedicate a video on this book very soon. It is such a wonderful message of universal love. So I really want to share some of the book with you. And remember him? Oh, my dear Count Rostov. I finally watched the TV series. I loved it. I thought the cast was superb. I think Ewan McGregor was just perfect for the role. I had some reservations about the TV series just because, you know, there are a lot of splendid dialogues from the book were missing. Of course, they had to sort of shorten, but I think they messed up somehow at the end. I had a different recollection of small details about how the story in the book ends. I think they twisted it up a little bit. So I want to read the last few chapters again, just to really go into deep into what was changed for the TV series, but I'm happy I've seen it so far. Also, while I was on my flight back to Italy, besides these beautiful images that I'm sharing with you when we crossed the Alps, when I was already landed in Zurich, this was from my plane from Zurich to Milan. I also watched a few movies, finally, because on my way to California, the movies were kind of like, okay, I've seen it, and they didn't have my usual You've Got Mail and When Harry Met Sally, which are the movies, if I find them on the plane, I'll always watch them again. This time I got to watch Conclave, which is quite an intriguing, although slow, story of a conclave. When a pope dies, the cardinal reunite for discussing and voting who the next pope would be. And this is all about intrigues and politics within the La Curia. So it was subtle, but at the same time quite interesting, because I wonder, is this really happening? I bet it is. And I really enjoyed the twist at the end, which I can't tell you, but I thought it's worth a watch, or really, if you like sort of slow movies, but filled with suspense in a way. Not that thriller type of suspense, but sort of you're expecting something to happen. So yeah, that was a good movie. I also watched Lee, inspired by the life of Lee Miller. She was a photographer and photo reporter. She was Second World War correspondent for Vogue, can you believe it, in London. But she was such a courageous and inspiring woman, and I'm glad that Kate Winslet ended up producing part of the film, because I think they were running out of money, and she really believed in this character. I did enjoy it. And then I also watched Fly Me to the Moon, which is a comedy. I don't know if it was last year comedy, but it's set during the moon landing of 1969. So it was kind of a nice background to this silly love story, but entertaining at least, when you have nothing else to do but sit there and either try to sleep, which I couldn't, or just get yourself, in a relaxed state and just enjoy whatever you end up watching on the flight. Well, that's it for my February favorites. I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you spending time with me today. I also want to thank the new subscribers. It's been a while. I haven't thanked you all for your trust, and I hope you'll enjoy my future videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Give it a try. Thanks for your support. I'll look forward to chat with you in the comments, and I will also share more of my favorite reads a bit later in the month here on the channel. For now, happy reading. See you soon. Ciao.